Alrighty. Well, guys, we're here with Randy Shacka. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
All right, perfect. President of Two Men in a Truck, right?
Yep, absolutely.
That's awesome. So we kind of got you on here through a friend, which you'll know because he coaches your son's tennis team, the JV team for tennis here at CC. But Charlie kind of recommended for us to get connected with you because I think he went out there and gave a speech to some of your employees. So I guess that's probably the best way to start is how did you find Charlie and how'd you get him brought in to talk to everyone at the team?
Well, first, appreciate the time to be here too. It's good to see you guys. And yeah, through tennis, right? We had a kind of a kickoff for the tennis season. My son Will was a freshman this past year. And Coach Robbie was there just laying out the season. And then this guy stood up and just started talking. And everyone just like gravitated towards him and just sharing kind of his story, his beliefs, and what he was going to bring to the team. And that was Charlie. And I just fell in love with his message. I felt like I knew him for years walking out of there after a 15-minute conversation. But just hearing how motivational, inspirational, and genuine he was, it's like, man, I got to bring him in to our office and just have him share his story with our team.
Yeah.
It's inspirational, but most importantly, it's just you leave there feeling good, right? About, what you can do as a human being, but more importantly, how you can help others. So brought him in. He spoke to our team this past November, and same thing. Everyone gravitated to his story and his background, but just left there just that feeling of just inspiration, right? To go do something good.
Yeah, he's got that kind of cadence to him where you like leave after talking with him and you're like, I kind of feel like I know him.
Yeah.
But you're like, first time meeting him or something. So yeah, we had a similar experience when I first met Charlie. It was at a CC coaches over the summer. We have like a meeting to kind of get ready for the year. It was my first time meeting him. And he came up to me, and actually it's kind of all coming full circle now because he was kind of one of the first people that wanted to start some kind of podcast here at the school.
Yeah.
So he was doing like a little JV tennis podcast. With VJ.
Yeah, Beyond the Net.
Yeah. So, and they're actually going to come and use this now to record their podcast too.
Yeah. And just one story from Charlie too. I could talk about him all day, but we were at a tennis tournament this past summer. It was during the season, and it was like 85 degrees. It was like Will's third tennis match of the day. He was exhausted. VJ was there coaching. Charlie was at another space where the other kids were playing. But I got a voicemail from Charlie in the middle of that match. He said, "Hey, Coach VJ just called me. He said, Will's grinding it out. He's just working so hard. I just want you to know how awesome that is as a dad and as a coach." And like for him to take the time, wasn't even there to send it. We all were struggling, and to hear that moment of positivity, it's just, that's who Charlie is.
Yeah.
And, such a great guy.
He's something else. Yeah. Me and Sean mentioned this a few times. We were like, we feel like we could run through a wall for that guy. Cause he's like, you could tell he is definitely, a whiz with sales and a whiz with motivating people.
Yeah.
So I'm sure the people that work for him probably love to work for him.
100%. And you can see why the program is so strong with tennis. With Coach Robbie, VJ, the whole team, and Charlie and everyone else. That's just building something pretty special,
Yeah. You have to have that culture to kind of to go far, especially in that tournament. The tennis one's a tough one to win.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's great. So we got a chance to connect, and through these networks, get a chance to share our stories and connect with more great people, like we're doing today.
That's absolutely, like, it's amazing for you to take some time out of your busy day and come down and do this podcast as well. I guess tell me a little bit about Two Men in a Truck. I feel like probably everyone in Michigan has seen the truck and the logo because it's like super iconic logo. You're like, I think the first time I saw it, I definitely thought it was just like, oh, two men in the truck. Like it's their like small little family owned business, but then come to find out you guys are like a behemoth in the industry.
Yeah. And that's kind of the charm, I think, of the name and the brand. The logo is, we've got like 430 locations across the US, North America, Ireland, UK. But no matter where I travel, if I'm going to like Omaha, Nebraska, or Orlando, and I'm talking to the people in the community, like, oh, it's so cool. Your brand started here. It's like, well, yeah, kind of. I mean, yeah, local franchisees, but the charm, right? People think it's the two men. There's only two men in a truck, right? And so, but it did start with one truck and two boys way back in the mid 80s for sure.
Okay, so tell me a little bit. I was kind of on the website, and there's a brief overview of the company and history, but how does this company get started? Is it here in Michigan?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Yeah, in a town called Okemos, Michigan, which is right on the outskirts of Michigan State University, right outside of Lansing. Basically, 2 kids in high school looking for a summer job. Didn't want to do the traditional, work in a restaurant or flipping burgers. They wanted to do something outside. The family had a 1966 beat up Ford truck. It was a pickup truck. Brakes didn't really work too well. You could see the road because there was holes in the bottom of the floorboards, right? But they just wanted to be outside working. And so they would use that truck to haul just either, yard waste or even moving, furniture from here and there for the customers in their community. And it just kind of grew it that way, right? And then came time for them to graduate and go to college, and both were going to Northern Michigan. And so Mary Ellen, the mom, said, "Hey, man, this is kind of cool. It's like you guys are providing a service in this small community. Why don't I just put a little ad and try and hire, two movers and drivers and use a probably a little bit better truck than what we had?" And that's kind of how it all started, right? Like it was just guys doing something on the side, and but Mary Ellen's the one that took it and said, "Okay, let's look at this opportunity more as a business," and hired the first 2 movers, put a little ad in the Okemos Courier for 2 men in a truck. It was like $25, I think, an hour back then, and calls came in, right? And so that was the mid 80s, towards the latter half of the 88, 89. She was at a conference in East Lansing and just hearing people speak about business, kind of like, we're doing here. And there was a lady on there that had started a franchise company, and it was pretty much just dog walking, dog grooming, right? It's kind of an interesting concept, but she heard her speak and was like, "Oh, franchising, it's just interesting concept, right, of how to grow a business." And ended up talking to the lady afterwards and said, "It's just your story is so cool, but I don't think I could ever franchise moving." And she's like, "Mary Ellen, like I franchised dog walking. Like you can do it, right? If you have a good model, it's profitable and you can replicate it, you can franchise it." And that kind of was the genesis for her to dig deeper and try and get some support, some resources legally. Like, how do I do this, right?
Yeah.
But it was 4 or 5 years of just grinding out, trying to figure this out, making a lot of mistakes, not making any money. In fact, the first year she made $1,000 profit. It was like 3 years into the business, right? Instead of banking it or paying off debt, she wrote 10 checks for $100 to local charities in Lansing, Michigan, right? And so that's kind of the genesis of where our service comes from, our values come from, with just her saying, "Hey, this little 2 men in a truck thing is more about opportunities than the result of making money."
Yeah.
And that effort, that just was the foundation of who we are today, right? And so you fast forward all these years of franchising, lessons learned, and today we're at 430 locations across North America, UK, Ireland. We do about 500,000 moves a year across all those areas. It's kind of interesting. This summer, summer's usually busier for moving. We'll do about 2 moves every minute.
Wow.
If you equate that right. And so somewhere, either here or, out west or across the pond in the UK, there's a move happening, right? And so that's just the true American dream, right? Of just starting with an idea, thought, and then, fast forwarding today, how much people she inspired, impacted, myself personally, right? To come to a job and turn it into something much greater.
That's amazing. I'm a little interested about because I saw that and I was like, "Oh, okay, franchise. How does franchise work for a restaurant?" I kind of get it.
Yeah.
How does the franchising work for something like a service, like moving?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. And if you have a brand, right, there's a couple different ways to grow it, right? You can kind of grow it organically where you're working, trying to grow it, and then you add a location somewhere else and you keep going it. You can acquire another brand and kind of, convert it, or you can franchise, which is just taking your brand, replicating the process, the expectations, the standards, finding somebody that kind of believes your values, that will help the culture, and you have an agreement with that individual to take what you've done here and go replicate that in Orlando, Florida, or Dallas, Texas, Las Vegas, where they'll sign an agreement, and as part of that agreement, they are given the right to operate the 2 Men in a Truck brand. And so it's a great model for people that have the entrepreneurial spirit, but just need that structure, that support. Help. Yeah, absolutely. And leveraging just the brand expertise, which the franchisor brings, right, from the marketing. We've been in business almost 40 years, so we've made a lot of mistakes, right? Yeah. A lot of lessons learned that hopefully, somebody coming into a brand new market, like Las Vegas or something like that, like they come in with a proven system, some support as part of that, training programs, the marketing plans, you name it, but it's on them to go build it locally, right?
Okay.
And
So when you see the trucks, they're actually, even if they're all in Michigan, they might not be owned by the same person.
Yeah, there's about 22 locations in Michigan that we have, and sometimes there's this misnomer of franchising, right? Like you think of the big names in the restaurant industry, or like there's this big corporate entity. It's like, no, like franchising is true local ownership in a market, right? That just has bought into a system, right? And so, yeah, and like driving around, we're here around the Novi area, you'll see we've got 3 or 4 locations, locally here, Farmington, Ann Arbor, Brighton, where they're local owners that invest in 2 Men in a Truck, invest in their own trucks, their teams, and join the brand, right? And that's the power of those trucks, so they all look the same, right? And so, yeah.
So then I have a couple more questions just from the franchise perspective. So then from the consumer, when I go to call 2 Men in a Truck or go to the website or whatnot, you guys just pair me up with the closest franchise to me, and kind of is that kind of one of the benefits of being a franchisor, is that you're kind of getting leads almost in a way?
Yeah, and that's the brand power, right?
Okay.
Of having a footprint across the United States or Canada, wherever we're at. So depending on where you're moving from, more than likely there's a 2 Men in a Truck pretty close to you, right? And so our job is, from the website production, hosting the website, but also creating that content for the customer to say if they log in, they're moving, they can search, 3 or 4 different locations, whatever one's closest to them. They have the flexibility to choose that one. That local franchise will reach out to the customer and perform the move.
Oh, okay, awesome. So do you guys, as the kind of, I don't know if it's called a holding company, but as the top company, do you guys have any locations that you guys still own and operate yourselves?
That's a great question. So yeah, as the franchisor is kind of the name for our team here in Lansing. Our original franchise is Lansing, Michigan, right? It's 0001 on the number scheme. That was the what Mary Ellen started with the boys that eventually turned into a bigger operation in Lansing, right? And so, we still own that. It's our company store. It's, as a franchisor, we believe in having one that we own because we're testing things. We're, use that term, eating our own cooking too. Like whatever we preach or share with the rest of the network, we want to make sure
you guys can say we're doing it ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And we're proud of it too. We're based in Lansing. It's the flagship. It's the, where we can help the community as much as we can. But yeah, that's still company owned.
Okay. Yeah, that's awesome. So then let's say I want to go and start 2 Men in a Truck. Is there because obviously I'm guessing you want to have all your owners kind of have the same core values, experience, culture. Do you have to do an interview process and kind of how do you guys vet, who you're giving it's the branding to?
Yeah, we refer to that as our discovery process, right? So if somebody's interested in becoming an owner within 2 Men in a Truck, there's a kind of an early vetting process of just an application, kind of the background, the financial ability to invest in the brand. And then that kind of goes through what we call a discovery day process, where we're doing everything we can to learn as much about the individual. And likewise, we want to give them everything, the good, the bad, the ugly of business, right? Where you're coming into 2 Men in a Truck. Here's our standards. Here's our franchise agreement. Here's what we expect. But more importantly, here's what we're going to give you too as part of this partnership. And then assuming that individual passes both those tests and they want to move forward with us, then we go to a franchise signing, and franchise agreements are 5-year terms and they renew every 5 years, So we've got locations that have been part of this brand almost 30 years now. So it's
I'm guessing each deal is probably different depending on the owner.
Yeah, a little bit depending on the market and which area you're going into. Like going into New York City or that area would be a little bit different than going into a smaller town out in Montana, right? Of what you would need financially to get into it, how many trucks you're going to start with your office, some of those key areas there too. But as far as the agreement goes, it's pretty standard. We don't really negotiate as much because there's 430 locations that have already bought into this, that have built this brand, that, so somebody come in benefits from that. And if we had 430 different agreements, we wouldn't really have a brand, right?
Gotcha,
the standards would be different. People would want to have different colored trucks or things like that, And so you got to maintain those standards in franchising because that's ultimately which creates the brand strength through partnerships with great people.
Okay, cool. Do you guys make your guys' revenue from a monthly agreement with each one, or is it actually based off each move that the franchisee does?
Another great question. Yeah. There's what's called royalty in franchising, right? So as a franchisor offering a franchise to somebody coming in, they come in, own the rights or take the rights to operate two-man truck, but as part of their sales each month, they pay a small percent of royalty to the franchisor. And that's truly our revenue stream, right, of how we operate. And then, that royalty really is just the value of the franchise brand that people are buying into, right?
Yeah. So you guys are handling the marketing, the training, any technology. I'm guessing you guys probably have rules for what kind of trucks they can get or something like that, right?
Vendor partnerships.
Okay.
Yep, all those things are created. And then there's obviously tools at the local level for marketing, going out, grassroots, doing some of those things there too. Yeah.
So it's kind of turnkey for whoever wants to get in on it, so to speak. As long as you have the investment money to get it up and started, you'll benefit from the marketing, the branding, the culture.
40 years of experience. Yeah, exactly. And then the value of the network, right? You're joining a couple hundred owners, right? Mm-hmm. So if you have a question,
someone probably has an answer.
Absolutely, right? And there's mentorships. That's the true essence of franchising, is just the core network that's created, right?
That's really cool. I definitely knew that, like McDonald's, Burger King, I knew that, kind of fast food restaurants had this model. I did not, this was my first time kind of listening or hearing about it from like the service perspective.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, and like I said, like the true, what I love most is like stories of people that have come to this brand. They live in their local community. They're serving the community. They're just, operating it through two men in a truck, right? And that's the cool thing that this brand has done to provide opportunities for so many people. Yeah,
that's awesome. So has this been have you been with this company the whole entire time since you started working, or no?
Yeah, this is 24 years. So I came to Two Men in a Truck like many people, just needing a summer job, right? I was a Michigan State junior in engineering. Didn't really know what I wanted to do, right? But I needed a job. And so I found out about a marketing internship at the corporate office. Had no business applying for it because I was an engineering major, but I needed a job. Was lucky enough to get it. And back then, that was 2001, our office was a small little rented space in Okemos. There's 27 people. I was 27 and a half. I was the half part-time intern. My office was in the basement when I first walked in, like where we stored all of our holiday decorations, all of our supplies, and I had a folding table and a computer and a project to work on a grassroots marketing manual for Two Men in a Truck that summer. So I went to work, man. I just walked in the door there, just fell in love with just the family, the values, the culture. You can get a sense of a business when you walk in. Is it growing? Is it thriving? Is it positive? Or is it kind of that stagnation where it's just nobody really wants to be there? It was like, wow, my name was on the welcome board. I was an intern, right? And I had a project and something to work on each and every day. And I just loved it, right? So I went to school part-time and went and worked at Two Men in a Truck as a marketing intern to get that start going. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's kind of crazy too, to just be with the same company and work your way from legitimately, you hear about it, but from intern to president is.
You don't see it too often. And, but the reason, I guess the big why is like at certain points, I think I've had like 17 titles, which is not really important to me, but it's like what those represent are just opportunities, right? Mm-hmm. Like we had chances to build a project or work on a new brand or a new service. Like every step, something new was either a challenge or an opportunity, right? To keep growing within Two Men in a Truck, right? So it wasn't like a similar everything I'm doing the same exact every day, And so, but yeah, I was an intern this summer and I got a chance to meet one of we call them business consultants, which are individuals who help support franchisees from our corporate office, just on the business goal setting, looking at their monthly P&Ls and all those things. And he came to me one morning in the basement and said, "Hey, Angie and I are looking at opening a Two Men in a Truck." I'm like, "Oh, that's awesome, man. That's cool." And he's like, "Would you go to Seattle, Phoenix, or Orlando if you were me?" Right? And I'm like, "Oh man, Brett, I don't know." He's like, "Well, let me know what you think. I'll be back later." And this was 2001. Like, you didn't have all the data information. You had like census and a little bit of online information. So I'm sitting here like trying to I'm an intern, right? I'm trying to help like little man on a total pull. Like, I was like, whatever I can do to help Brett and Angie. I'm like searching. And then he came back later. He's like, "Where would you go?" I was like, "Well, if it were me, it'd be like Orlando." He's like, "Why?" He's like, "Well, it's warm. Weather's good. There's people, there's like some stats saying there's like 6,000 people moving into Orlando every day, right?" And I was like, there's a lot of retired folks there that are always, there's things happening there that are activities that are moving, nothing on in Seattle or Phoenix, but I'd go to Orlando. He's like, "Well," so that's great because that's where we're going. I'm like, "Awesome, man." And gave him like a fist pump, whatever it was. And he turned around and walked away and he stopped halfway and he turned and he looked at me. He said, "Do you want to come with?" I'm like, what? Like, do you want to come with? I'm like, dude, I'm 2 classes short of graduating. This was like May.
Yeah.
It was early spring. I was going to take 2 classes in the summer to graduate with a degree in applied engineering at Michigan State. I'm like, come, Brad, like I got to finish, dude. He's like, well, just think about it. All right.
So yeah, I want to finish school.
Yeah, I want to finish. Like, my parents are pushing me like, yeah, like this was the big thing here, right? So I went home and just thought about it, right? I'm like, man, I did internships in engineering. It just didn't, like, there was nothing in it that had excitement, right? Mm-hmm. And it's just my personal experience. But I thought about it. I'm like, man, I want to go. And the challenge was my dad, he's in the Air Force, and he had worked in commercial lending for years. So, like, basically businesses need a loan, you know. Mm-hmm. So he'd seen a lot of businesses succeed, but he's seen a lot of them fail too, right? And so that moment of me sitting there thinking, man, I've got 2 classes to graduate. I have this opportunity with Brad to go to Florida. How in the heck am I going to ask my dad if I can go, right?
Yeah.
And so that moment of like fear and just preparation, freaking out. But I had that conversation with him. I said, Dad, like, I want to go. I believe in it. Angie and Brad are going to let me sleep on their couch for free. There's no rent. Like, just, I'm going to work in the business with them, work on the trucks, whatever's needed. He's like, go. He's like, but just promise me you'll get your degree. Mm. All right, I got this figured out. I applied to UCF down, which is Central Florida University in engineering. And I'm going to take classes when I get down there, and I'll work, you know, as well, like I did here. And I promise that I'll get it. And so he moved me down there. We started with 2 trucks, and I was on the trucks every day, right? Moving, and which is one of the hardest things to go from Michigan to Orlando, humidity and working outside.
And then work.
Yeah. And then like, boom, man, it was hard. And, but I loved it. It was like, you're outside every day, you're working with customers in their homes, helping them move, and during a stressful time, right? But a week
Probably
later,
in great shape too.
Yeah, oh, dude, but it takes a while to get that strength, that core strength of moving. And we always teach our movers, like, be patient. Like, it's going to take a while for you to gain that. Like, you're going to feel muscles in your arms and your legs you never felt you had before while moving, you know? But about a week later, I got a letter from UCF that said, hey, thanks for your application, you know, but we're not going to allow you into our university. Yeah. So I didn't tell my dad that. So I worked with Brad and Angie on the trucks, in the office, grassroots marketing, taking calls, right, and just working my way and just learning the business, right? And so about 2 years later, you know, I got homesick and missed the Michigan weather, and which is hard to say in January, but with the seasons and all that stuff. But applied for an opportunity back at 2 Men in a Truck. Just had created a brand new role, which was helping new franchisees get out of the game. It's like, I just did that, man, for 2 years.
I could do it again.
Yeah, I can do it again, right? And so that was 2004-ish. Fast forward, you know, all that time of just helping franchisees get up and going. I probably took on 6 or 7 new roles and just grew with the brand as I was growing personally too, right? And so took over as president in 2013, which was the first non-family member to take that role. Yeah. And been in that role ever since, man. So,
wow.
Yeah. So,
did you ever end up finishing that degree?
Oh, yeah. I did. So I did make that. I went, when I came back in 2004, I went to Michigan State, met with the dean of engineering, just said, listen, here's my situation. Here's where I did. Like, I just have these 2 it was like thermodynamics and it was ridiculously hard classes.
Yeah.
But I said, I promise I'll give all my heart and attention to this, but if I'm not at class, it's not because I was out partying the night before, because I'm traveling with these new franchises, but by the grace of God, he said, yep, we'll let you back in.
Wow.
And, so I finished those 2 classes, got my degree in 2004, and I'd say the rest is history. But, you know, I was then like in the school of franchising from that point on, you know. Wow.
So that probably gives you obviously a lot of like credibility with all the workers, because you're like, I've done the moving, I've done, you know, central office and whatnot, and worked my way all the way up. So you probably know all the core kind of aspects of the business, from the smallest detail to the largest.
Yeah, and I think if you can share that sentiment of like, you know what it's like to be working in 100-degree weather, you know, with 100% humidity, and you're moving a 10,000 square foot house, right? Yeah. Like, to be in that moment on the trucks and helping a customer get into a better place, that lends a lot of credibility to our network, right? And so you take that along with just hiring great people around you, and then building, that's where franchising is, just relationships, right? Like, strong relationships with our owners, painting a clear vision of where we want to go, like getting their input. Like, I love it. Right?
Okay.
Yeah. I love it.
That's incredible. Yeah. There's not many, I've seen it maybe a few times, but they're always like super inspirational when you see him. You're like, yeah, I literally started as an intern and then worked my way up to the president. And then obviously being the first non-family in that role is probably a big leap too.
Yeah, yep, absolutely. It was.
You got something to say?
I was just going to say it's kindred spirit right here. Steven started as an intern at Catholic Central.
Look at you, man.
Yeah, that's true.
Nice. Head esports coach and podcast host and communications expert.
Good for you, man. And I have a soft spot for intern. Like we have an intern program too, and it's like the caliber of interns today versus what I was coming in is like, oh my gosh, they're so energetic, talented, much more than I was. But yeah, like it's like it doesn't really matter, where you start. It's like what you do with the opportunities, right? And then to your point, you're creating things, right, as you grow and evolve and putting yourself out there, taking some risks, right? But that's how you build a career, right? And that's how you build that personal journey and your personal brand too, right?
Yeah, it kind of sounds like you were in it more for the learning than maybe the money or something. Like you were just kind of like, oh, this is exciting. I like doing this work and like passionate about it.
Yeah. Franchising is very similar to engineering, right? It's like solving problems, right? And it's like, how do you do that efficiently through people? And, but we always say like at Two Man Truck, you have the ability to put your fingerprints on things that either help customers, help employees, or help franchisees get into a better place, right? And so that's pretty fulfilling when you have that fire behind something that, man, we did this project and look what it just did.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And so probably similar to what you thought too, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I came back as the esports coach first, and then later on from doing that, kind of started in the internship office of communications and marketing. But that's also what I was going to school for. But I went through the same thing of having to go to work and intern and driving. I went to U of M Dearborn, so it was commuting kind of everywhere. Yeah. But I think in the time you don't think about it. You're just like doing stuff to do it. And like you're making stuff, you're doing projects, which is very fulfilling when you're like, oh, I helped contribute to that or a part of that.
Yeah, I talked to a lot of people coming in thinking like I need to have a plan or I need to have this solid vision. Like visions are great, but to your point, like being in the moment of working on something you're passionate about, like that's truly the energy that's going to keep giving you to take that next step, right?
Yeah, that's usually what I tell my kids during coaching is whatever plan you think you have for college or beyond, it probably won't exactly happen like that. So just be very open to opportunities because you don't know what'll come by. And sometimes you do. You just got to say yes to something and, kind of take a risk on it.
That's right.
And sometimes it works out. Sometimes it might not. But at least you can say, you tried or something.
We thought, there's no failures. It's just lessons, right?
Yeah.
Like at the same time, you learn from it, right? And then you shift that to the next opportunity, the next experience, and take that wisdom, and hopefully, you grow from it for sure.
That's awesome. I love that the logo is still the original kind of hand-drawn logo too.
Yeah, she drew that on a napkin, right? Like back in the early days of just trying to put a little ad in, right? And so we still have that napkin today. But I was sharing here, like she would get comment, people would just laugh like, gosh, like you had kids draw your logo for you and put it up on a big truck. That's so funny. She used to get so mad. It's like, I drew that logo.
And I'm very proud of it.
Yeah, it's got like all these lines and it looks like it's 3-dimensional, but it was on accident because she kept making mistakes and kept erasing and just like at some point just left it. And so we've cleaned it up a tad, but this has remained for 40 years, right? And so there's no steering wheel on the truck, which is like kind of weird because all the guys hand, but it's like, all right, well, that was kind of her foresight because we're in, the UK now. So there's, sides of the side.
Yeah.
But it hopefully, people, when they see a brand, it's like, that's what branding is. It's like the feeling people have when they see something like, the CC logo or the Two Man Truck logo. Hopefully people smile, right?
Yeah.
Because of either they knew somebody that had a good interaction or it just looks whimsical or, and it gravitates towards just a good feeling when they see the brand.
That's kind of what sales is all about in a way too, is a lot of people have like feelings with brands. I had a professor at U of M Dearborn, Dr. Ahuvia, marketing professor, and he kind of wrote a book that was about why we love the things we love. And then it kind of talks about like your partner, your spouse, like et cetera. But then he transitions over to products. And something that was really interesting was like, he was like, you know why people get really upset over when they text someone and a green bubble pops up? It's because they're an Apple user versus an Android user. He's like, and you having that phone so close to you, on you looking at it, you feel that you yourself are like, I'm an Apple person. Yeah. So I get upset because I don't feel good when I see the green bubble.
Right on.
So it was very like cool to see like, oh, like that's kind of how every brand works. There's like a feeling or emotion attached to it because you think it's personally like a part of you.
Yeah, and that's something we learned. Gosh, was around 2013 when I became president. Was Brig, one of the original two men? He was the former president. He gave me like 2 tasks. He's like, "Hey, it's your ship, take it, but we need to figure out where we're gonna go. But we need to relook at our core purpose, right?" And at the time, it was like we existed to be a role model in the industry. Like that was our why. Like moving industry, if you close your eyes, think of moving, like it's not the best perception people have of movers, right?
Yeah.
A lot of kids don't grow up wanting to be a professional mover. Right? It's either, baseball, rock star, veterinary, whatever it is. But we're much more than that, two men. But so we went to work of like, how do we go reinvent our why or reaffirm like why we do what we do? Mm-hmm. And there's a great author, I don't know if you're familiar with like Simon Sinek, The Golden Circle, which he talks a lot about like every company knows like what they do and how they do it, but very few know why they do what they do, right? It's kind of the inverse of that. There's a target he draws. But if you flip it and you start with your why, and that's where your messaging comes from, that's where your hiring comes from. Having that compelling why is so critical to your earlier point about the connection, right?
It's a lot easier to reverse the others rather than the why. Yeah,
like you go into a networking event, like you meet somebody new, like 9 times out of 10, they're going to ask, "Hey, what's your name?" Okay, they're going to ask you what you do. They don't ever ask you why you do what you do.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's just complete opposite thinking. And that really just drove us to say, like, let's go after reaffirming, listening to our owners, listening to our employees to say, like, why do we do what we do? Why do we get up every day and come to work, right? And what came of that was like to move people forward. And like that resonates so much with us because that's what we do every day of moving customers, hopefully during a very stressful time into a better place if we can.
Yeah.
Resonates with our franchisees that have come here where they're now, they had 1 location, now they've got 20 locations, right?
Yeah.
And more importantly for our team members, the people who come here, is that we help them hopefully move forward in their careers, just like I was able to do, right?
Yeah.
And 1 in 3 of our owners started just like I did, either on the phones or on the trucks, right? Which is awesome. Right? We don't share that stat a lot, but almost 80% of our managers in our network started on the phones or trucks, right? So that feeling of, man, you come here, there's a path forward. But that's what we speak to. We hire to that. We market off, moving people forward. But it's that why that really differentiates us.
Yeah.
I believe,
That probably helps a lot from an employment perspective too.
For sure.
To not feel like stuck. Like, hey, we're trying to, level everyone up, kind of, so to speak.
Yeah, and like you shared earlier, I mean, like you've been through that journey of nothing's always, at times can be given to you, right?
Yeah.
But if you're working on yourself, you're working on growing, you're great in a team environment, you got a great attitude, you're willing to take risks and take on more, like there's probably going to be something that comes your way, right?
Wow. Yeah. So as now being in the president role, how do you kind of, you're probably very busy. So like, how do you kind of time manage everything and, how do you balance everything in life kind of?
Yeah, it's not easy. I don't know if there is a balance. It's, you have to be intentional, right? With your calendar, with your communication, with your time. And so, I'm very proactive with my Outlook calendar to say, hey, I know I need to get some things done. I'm going to mark it, right? Next Friday, I've got to get these things knocked out. But it's how you start your day too, the habits you have, right? So we all have goals. It's not the goals that are important. It's what you do to drive them, And so for me, trying to manage that time, am I, staying consistent, getting up when I need to get up, right? Getting the workout in, getting meditation, prayer, whatever it needs in the morning that I need to start my day. And that changes a little bit for me, depending on how I'm feeling that morning, right? But also we're blessed at Two Men and where we have that ability to be flexible, right? So I coach baseball. I coach my son Will all the way through 14U baseball this year. I have that flexibility to, hey, we have a game at 4. I got a jet.
I'm going to be there.
Yeah. And I appreciate that because our CEO, and I didn't mention this, in 2021 we were acquired by Service Master Brands, right? And so it was the first time.
That was going to be one of my questions. Actually, was if you guys are still like family owned from the original family, or if.
And so we were acquired in 2021. The family, they finally said, hey, like, we've done what we could, and we're ready. And so that was a good experience for me personally as a leader to go through an acquisition process, right, of trying to find a suitable partner for us in the future that would invest in us and take over the ownership, right? And so we found that with Service Master Brands. We're connected with a few other brands now in kind of a portfolio, which is ultimately owned by Rourke Capital, which is a private equity firm. Very strong reputation in the PE world. So it's been great. We're part of Mary Maid's, Service Master Restore, which is disaster restoration, Service Master Clean, which is commercial cleaning, 2 men in a truck, and then we rolled out 2 men in a junk truck too this past year, which was another offset of a vision and idea within our teams of customers saying, "Hey, we want more. We need help with junk removal. We need help with removing unwanted items." Right, and so
we got a bunch of trash.
Yeah, right. And so it's like, all right, well, we're getting calls from customers. Our franchisees are asking about it. Like, let's go figure it out how we bring that to market, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm not the most creative guy, but 2 men in a junk truck sounded pretty good from taking the equity of the 2 men name for 34, where people know it, right? And then just inserting the junk from a search and the whole the digital side of things. But that's a whole nother podcast. We call it that opportunity, because it's cool being able to start a brand from scratch, right? And then in turn go franchise it. But, but to my earlier point, like our CEO, John, is of Service Masters, like great dad, great husband. And he's like, set your boundaries. You got to set your boundaries of where your time's going to be spent. You coach, set those boundaries. You need to be with your kids, right? And so, yeah, it is not, I don't think there's like a proven strategy. You leverage your apps, your efficiencies of where you can manage your day better. You have to be intentional, trying to look out the next 3 to 4 or 5 days to say, it's not just about tomorrow. It's like Thursday, I've got this, and this. I got to make sure I'm on point Wednesday night to make sure everything's ready to go, Yeah,
there's things that need to get done, and got to be intentional about it.
Yeah.
Wow. And then in terms of kind of going through that acquisition process, was it kind of the other way around, where instead of someone was coming after to acquire you guys, were you guys looking for acquirer kind of thing?
Yeah, it's an interesting process and it was my first time going through that of when you get the call from the family saying, "Hey, like it's our time.
We want to sell.
We want to sell." Yeah. And so usually what happens is you connect yourself with an investment banker that helps you go find suitable buyers, right? And so that's what we did, found a great partner. And then, his job was to say, "Hey, like let's build up our portfolio of how we're going to share who we are and what we're going to do." And he'll help find the potential partners. And yeah, it's like this was all going on right post COVID, so it was really difficult to try and meet face. It was kind of a chaotic time, right? But,
Zoom calls.
Yeah, Zoom and meeting with potential suitors, and but it was kind of in our court, which was great. The family was awesome. They said, "Hey, we want to sell. We want you guys to do it," right? And so that gave us the ability to say, "Hey, let's find a partner we believe will help support our values, help support our purpose, provide resources to help us grow, and be somebody that aligns with who we are," right? And so we vetted, a couple dozen different potential partners, from private equity to family style businesses to you name it, transportation companies. But we all independent. There's 4 of us that went through this decision process within our leadership team, and we all independently ranked who we felt was number 1. And then when we came to time to talk about it, we all came back with Work Capital.
Oh, you guys all chose
we
the
all
same.
chose the same one, right?
Nice.
Just based on their professionalism, their attentiveness, just who they are as a reputation in the industry, right? And so it worked out. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Was that the most challenging thing that you've gone through since assuming the president role, or has there been other business aspects that have been?
That's a good question.
Very challenging.
COVID was probably the first. There isn't a playbook for navigating a pandemic with a business, right? So that was the first, because we didn't really know, like, can we be in people's
homes? What are the
homes?
rules?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And the rules, and you're trying to take care of your team members, make sure everyone's safe, first and foremost. Secondly, has the right equipment. And third, feels comfortable, right? So that was probably in the moment, the hardest thing that we'd ever gone through, trying to figure out, do we have to shut down, or are franchisees shutting down, or do we keep pushing forward, and how do we do that in an agile way, right? Because things were changing so much from information, what businesses could or couldn't do. Were we deemed an essential service or not when it comes to moving? Because people have to move at times, right? And so that was difficult.
You have to stay pivotable.
Yeah, right. And you have to be on point with communication. Like, we had daily videos going up to our network, right? And so communicating what we know, what we're hearing. Here's what the government's saying. Here's what we believe. What do you believe? So that was just, you look back on it and I was like, man, pretty resilient moment to go through. But right on the backdrop of that, we were acquired. So it was like a back-to-back kind of challenging situations just from change, right? And so, it was, I would say, probably the pandemic, navigating that.
During the pandemic, for the moving industry, was there significant drop off for revenue?
It wasn't. April 2020 was kind of, everyone kind of remembers the times and stuff where you were, but when things started shutting down. So, we kind of went downward April, May. But then that fall, like when people started realizing.
You guys put some rules and regulations in, and then people started feeling more comfortable to.
Some standards. And we were really flexible too. If franchisees weren't comfortable or didn't feel safe with because, every area was hit differently.
Different.
Right. At different points, right? And so, but as we learned more, navigated more through it, it's kind of weird because moving has such a seasonality to it. Like June, July, August is very busy for moving. Summers, right? Kids are out of school, weather's good. Like when COVID hit, like everything kind of shut down over the summer, and then it just came back in a huge wave because people could now work remote, and people were relocating out of the major cities to go into more rural areas, and so our whole numbers were all over the board. But we were pretty flat at the end of the day, which is a blessing from a business standpoint, knowing how hard that was on people personally too, right?
Yeah, depending on the industry, some of them were completely, I know, probably family-owned restaurants.
Yeah, absolutely.
A large chunk of them shut down during that time.
Yeah.
Wow. Kind of switching it up a little bit, just going more kind of personal. Did you play any sports or do anything growing up?
Yeah, I was a big sports kid. Baseball was my jam. I loved playing baseball growing up. I wasn't the biggest guy, as you can see, but I was pretty good at it in high school. I played all through travel, that whole thing, all the way up through high school. Played high school 3 years varsity. And then my senior year, I tore my labrum in my shoulder. So I was kind of like Kaputski for baseball, right?
Wow.
So, but I was pretty blessed. I was valedictorian, had good grades, and so I was like, all right, I'm just going to pursue education, right?
Yeah.
And so sports taught me so much, though. I mean, playing basketball, playing football early on, Pop Warner, and then baseball, just the value of structure, teamwork, hard work.
That's what I was going to ask. Is there anything from being on a team growing up that kind of resonates to being it's kind of like the captain of the company?
Yeah, we were just doing a session yesterday with we bring our leaders together, all of our leaders across Service Master, once a month, and it's virtual, right? There's like 100 people on it. There's always a leadership message, and yesterday was all about transitioning from a peer to a leader. And I was the one leading I got lucky enough to be asked to lead that conversation. But going back to like 5th grade basketball, I was like named captain of the basketball team in 5th grade, and I was so scared because I didn't know what that meant, right? And then, what do you mean? I went from playing with my friends, now I have to be the voice of the team, and I was the shortest kid on the team, and it's like, this is crazy, right? But to your point, Mary Ellen, our founder, always said that keep things simple, right? Because you can overcomplicate so many things in business. And so to your point, like there's little things you take, whether you're in sports or you're just in an organized activity that hopefully you learn from that benefits you later. And like sports was like, hey, time management, hard work, working in a team environment, right? Having a voice and bringing input to a group, right? To help, working hard, right? And so those are simple things on paper, right? But they're intangibles. And then when I look for somebody that's successful.
Yeah, conflict resolution too.
100%.
In terms of, maybe not getting along with someone, or maybe someone's ideas are very different than what you think.
Yes.
The direction you should go. So how do you communicate that properly and professionally?
Right on. Yeah. And I think you see all these books, right, of leadership, like take the 12 laws of this or the 10 things that's like, it doesn't exist, right? In my mind, because you have to be agile because everyone's unique. They have different motives, different inspirations of how they want to, where they want to go, how they want to be communicated to, like you mentioned. And so you have to understand that and be agile in your leadership approach when you're communicating, and more importantly, connecting with team members, right? And so, I always laugh at some of it's great to see some of those 12 laws or things like that, which are always good, but it's like,
that doesn't cover it all.
Not for everyone, right? Yeah.
What would be your biggest advice to, I'm sure a lot of the high school kids will watch this episode just because like, I'm sure a lot of kids in high school think about that one day. It's like, oh, maybe I'll be a president of a company, or maybe I'll do that. What are kind of the advice you'd give to anyone that's kind of looking to go into business?
Man, I love it. Yeah. Or just, anything to your point of pursuing something
at a high standard.
Right. At a high standard. Right. And I think, we teach this a lot too, is just own your space with what you have today. Right. Like if you're given like this little space around you to do whatever it may be, like for me, I'll use it like being a mover, right? I had to make sure I showed up every morning in uniform, on time, ready to go. I had to fold the pads in the back of the truck. Like that was my world, but I owned it. And I tried to be the best I could because I know if I did that, then I'd be in line to become a driver, right? And so I always try to reaffirm like, you might have this greatest goal. It might be 10 years out, right? But if you're not tackling the little things right now, you're not going to be able to take that next step to get there, right? So being clear with where you want to go. And if you don't know, that's okay too. Like I think I wanted to be an engineer, then I didn't want to be an engineer, right? But I always tried to tackle and own the space in front of me every day. And then that led to a bigger space of responsibility, then a bigger space, right? And so that would be my message is like, hey, if you don't have it figured out, that's okay. If you do, great, right? And you got that passion, you know that's truly what you want to do, but you still got to own today and be your best, waking up each and every day. And then guess what? You got to do the same thing tomorrow.
Yep.
Right? Because that's what creates that consistency over time.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then what's one piece of advice that maybe you received that you were like, that you came to realize, that's not as important as someone had told me growing up?
And I was guilty of this too. Like having a clear personal vision. Like I'm a very visionary guy with the company too, but I was going through this process early on. Like, man, if you don't know where you're going, how do you know when you get there kind of thing? And it's like, I bought into that a lot and I almost put too much pressure on myself of like having to have this perfect clarity of where I wanted to be.
Having it all figured out.
Having it all figured out. Because life's hard as it is, right?
Yeah.
And you're met with so much information overload where people telling you one thing and you're going to see something different on a post somewhere else. So I took that almost like literal, and I shouldn't have, right? Because I think that's like, as you build your identity, you build your own ideas and thoughts, like you start realizing not everyone's got it all figured out. Right.
Yeah, so, almost everyone doesn't have it figured out.
And the thing with the downfall of social media today is like everyone portrays like they do.
Yeah.
And you look behind the curtains and it's like, man, that's a mess, right? But but no, I think I was too much pressure of trying to be perfect, right? Of having that perfect vision, perfect day, and like realizing, man, life's more about learning and enjoying the journey, right?
Yeah.
Versus having everything figured out because things are going to hit you that you don't expect. Right?
Getting things done. Maybe it won't
100%.
Maybe it won't be exactly 100% perfect, but at least you got it done.
100%. Yeah. Yep. So it's that progress over perfection mentality, right? Just focus on progress, right?
Yeah, getting better.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Anything else that you could think of? Any cool stories from your time at Two Men in a Truck? Something that you'd be like, people would be shocked to kind of hear about?
No, I mean, let's see, shock. Oof. Yeah, there's some old stories from the guys back in the first, I probably shouldn't be sharing these, but they're, like we're human, right? And so like, Brig and John, the original Two Men, high school kids and, like most high school kids, they get up and have to do jobs on Saturday morning and not most high school kids want to
do that.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And so there's a few stories of them back in the day of like, hey, getting up, you had an 8 o'clock job in Williamston, you got to drive out there, drive out to the customer's home, ready to go, knock on the door, and the customer opens the door, is like, who are you? Like, well, we're Two Men in a Truck here to move you today. And they're like, I don't need to move anymore. Like, slam the door in their face, right?
Wow.
So not being the most, wise at that age, kids, what do you do? Like, so instead of getting back in their truck and leaving respectfully, they decided to do a lawn job on the way out. And right. So those are things that we teach today not to do in Two Men in a Truck, but it might have
happened once.
Yeah, it might have happened one or two times. And so, we're pretty, like this year we celebrated 10 million moves, right?
Yeah.
As a brand over these 40 years, right? 40th birthday, we've done 10 million moves, right? Not every move goes perfect, but we pride ourselves. We have a 97% referral rate, right?
Yeah.
And if you think of moving, there's so many things that go wrong, like a mortgage falls through, or
something happens.
We believe everything that a customer says is going to move, and we don't show up, and there's like 3 extra rooms, or there's a shed out back that's full of, and so you do your best in the moment, and at 97%, that's pretty good in the industry, right? From a referral standpoint. But we're human, right?
Yeah.
And so,
people's emotions sometimes get the better of them.
And that was back in the early 80s with 2 high school kids. But we've moved some crazy things. I mean, I remember moving a stuffed hammerhead shark in Florida when I was down there. Like, took up half the truck and it was like 300 pounds, and we had to get it around corners and upstairs and all this stuff. And it's like, moving is such a metaphor for life. It's like, you don't have a plan always, but you got to figure it out.
Yeah.
Right. And you got to solve it. And
this needs to get from point A to point
100%.
B.
It sounds simple on paper, but it always isn't. But at the end of the day, the customers are calling us for a reason. Hopefully it's the reputation, and we have to prove them right.
Yeah.
And so that's what we go and do and try and get the job done each and every day. Right.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that story. I think it's funny.
I'm sure I'll get a text from Brig later saying,
Some
"What
of it.
you said?" No, but it's just these are high school guys. I mean, they went and fixed the yard and they took care of it, and they, but it's just
Yeah, in the
high school-
in the moment, get
It's
a little
"What?
heated.
We got out of bed to come here and move you, and eat it. So
That's great.
they were tremendous influences on me in a good way.
Yeah.
Not on the lawn job side, but just leadership, being a dad, being husband, and the right things of how you live your life, right? And
Yeah.
it's faith, and your point earlier, having a plan every day to attack it, and
That's
and
it.
do there.
That's an awesome story. I mean, just starting with the two kids in high school, then the mom kind of taking over, and then
Yeah.
now to have as many locations and trucks as you guys do. I mean, it's like truly that's like the American dream kind of in essence.
Yeah.
So
And the thing I love most, like she never had she never had a vision, never had a business plan, but it was like, I want to provide opportunities for people, and I want to give back to our community. And so to this day, like we give 10 cents of every move to our partner. It's called Convoy of Hope.
Mhm.
And 10 cents might not sound like a lot, but when you do 500,000 moves a year, that's, it's 50,000
Yeah.
that we help support an organization. And Convoy, what they do is anytime there's like an event, a tornado, a hurricane, fires, you name it, where people are leaving areas.
Emergency relief.
They're going in,
Mhm.
yeah. And they're partnered with the federal government, but they're going in to help bring back an area, right, that was devastated, right? And so we partner with them, and we help provide supplies with them during those events as well. And then we also have a Movers for Moms program being started by a single mom. Every spring around Mother's Day, we partner with local realtors, local businesses across North America, and take donations. And then at the culmination, right towards Mother's Day, we deliver those to either domestic abuse shelters or just shelters in general, and deliver what we collect. And so this past May, we collected over 500,000 items to give to moms in need, right? And so we don't share a lot. Like that's just who our core is, but it started from Mary Ellen. Like we exist to give back to our communities. It's not the other way around, right?
Yeah.
And so that's still part of who we are today.
yeah, I think that's it's like literally an amazing story from start to now. And then kind of it's funny, but you going from intern to president also kind of mimics the company in a way. Like literally starting from bottom of the totem pole to working your way up.
Right on.
That's two great stories.
And my job is to protect that, right? Is protect that story from the opportunity, right? And keep working on building this brand. New services like the junk brand came from an idea, but that created opportunities for so many people to step up, right? And now it's going to provide people the opportunity to become franchise owners in a new service, right? And so that's why I'm still here 24 years later. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being on today's podcast. That was awesome. And thank you for the stories, the knowledge, the kind of wisdom from a high level. I think the people are going to really enjoy this one.
I appreciate it. It's good to meet you guys, and anytime.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys.